Hello, welcome to Wish We Were Then. My name is Trey, and I'm here with Mark. Say hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. My name is Mark.
Good one. So this is Wish We Were Then. Yeah, folks, have you ever been watching a movie that takes place in the past, and they use like a weird can opener, and you're like, oh, what the fuck was that? And you have to like look it up, and you go, what? That's so crazy. What was life like back then? Well, we wonder that kind of stuff, and that's what we're doing on this show, is looking back at a specific year in the past and just dissecting the whole year: music, movies, pop culture, events, things of that nature. I'm excited for this week. It's feels like a year that seemed familiar when we were kids, and then obviously so much time passes that now it's like so old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you growing up in the 90s, like even being a kid, I don't know, it seems like the 60s and the 70s didn't seem that long ago. Didn't seem that far away.
No, yeah, I mean, that was the still very relevant stuff. Well, what year are we talking about specifically? Today?
Specifically.
Well, okay, let's just say, the hippy-dippy flower power kaleidoscopic colors of the 1960s out the door. 60s over with, done. We want brown. That's the color we are most excited about now, because we are in 1971.
Don't forget orange.
Brown, burnt orange.
Yeah, burnt orange.
Burnt
yeah,
orange.
Exactly. Yeah,
Hey, take that orange and brown it up a little bit.
that orange isn't brown enough for me.
Let's get things even more earth-toned. And a very earth-toned year it was. But there were some exciting things happening in 1971. Very much a year that feels like it has a very strong identity, not hearkening back too much, not too looking towards the future. It feels like 1971 was very concerned with being 1971, if that makes sense. Because some years feel like they're like super futuristic, like everyone's looking towards the future, and some years it feels like it's sort of holding on to the decade before or something like that. 1971 feels it's definitely not like the 60s at all. We're doing something new,
I think that it's grounded in itself, like with like music and everything. I think it's very,
yeah, that's a big part of it.
I just think that it's very like set in it
has an identity.
Yeah, it's set in its identity. I get that. I get what you're saying.
Well, let's see. What was going on around the world in 1971? Just kind of get some news stories.
So on the first,
right out the gate.
Yeah, New Year's Day, there was actually a ban on TV and radio ads for cigarettes. So no more Fred Flintstones smoking Winstons on the TV.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that commercial, look it up. Fred and Barney smoking Winstons. These are the smoothest cigarettes. Oh, these are delicious.
You know what
I only smoke Winstons, Barney.
I could really go for a Winston on my break.
You watch anything from the 70s, though, it's like everybody was smoking everywhere,
And the 60s, too. I mean,
yeah.
Like we just talked about, like, it's separating itself a lot from the years prior. It's not holding on to what was being done back then. That's just part of it separating itself.
Yeah.
Part of it
This is now
moving on.
Yeah. New research and new sciences. Our science indicates that cigarettes are not as great as we thought. It's starting to indicate that possibly. This happened way later in the year, but I think this is a fun one to kind of get things rolling. On November 24th, a man known only as D.B. Cooper basically hijacked a plane. He said that he had a bomb on the plane. He instructed them to land. He collected $200,000, and then they took back off. He parachuted out of the rear of the plane over the forest, basically, and he's never been identified, and the money was never recovered.
That's the coolest shit ever. Just to be able to disappear like that. It's just like so foreign to us now. They would track his phone and like anything else. Like,
yeah, I think the 70s are so cool for crime because it's like you have more news reporting than ever before, but you don't have that much ability to track. It's just like you can just tell everybody, wow, look, this happened. We're like, damn, that's crazy. Like we know where he went
And
Like,
it was a small plane too. It wasn't like a big like
Yeah.
747 like
yeah, there's no way to figure out who got on that
American
flight.
Airlines. Like yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
know
like
there
there's like
wasn't-
all these records of it. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just it's super cool though. There's that movie Without a Paddle
Oh yeah.
that's based on the. There we got a little picture of him. It was a Boeing 727 that he was on.
Oh damn! It was a bigger
big-
plane than I thought.
Yeah, I thought
don't
that
know.
little one. I feel like that's probably from a movie or something. That it's just a little plane. And
Yeah,
that's what
probably
would get in your
from
head.
Without a Paddle.
That's probably. But this is also one of those things. Again, to say how much time changes and stuff is like this felt like I saw this referenced a lot on TV and movies. You know, this sort of story and things like they would parody it and things, and maybe you didn't even recognize it in a cartoon or like something like that. You know, I feel like Tiny Toons probably had a DB Cooper story or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah, this was Without a Paddle's a funny movie. So you know, if you want to learn more about DB Cooper, check out Without a Paddle. We also got another fun little news item here. Walt Disney World opened on October 1st.
Oh, in Florida, huh?
Yes, the Florida version. The first to enter were Marty and Bill Windsor. Marty is a woman's name, because they weren't just wildly progressive at the time to be like, we're going to let in a lesbian couple. Or I guess two men. Marty and Bill Windsor and their two sons, whose names I did not write down, got lifetime passes. And it's, as far as Disney says, they abused their privilege. They, invited as many people. They took as much advantage as they could. Came as an
What did you expect? You expected them not to
Yeah.
use it once a year? Like, no, man.
Yeah,
If
here-
you live in town, you live in LA, whatever, you're going to use it. Or Florida. You live
Yeah.
in town in Florida, you're going to use that.
I mean, also the 70s, I just feel like, they just were like, oh, this will be a nice thing. These people can come whenever they feel like. And then as time went on and very quickly, 10 years later or something, they're like, oh, we need to just get as much money out of everybody for every transaction as we can. And we can't do that with these people coming and bringing as many people as they want or whatever the fuck they were doing, I think it's
Yeah.
very funny, though. I've never been to Disney World, have you?
Nope, I've never been to Florida.
Neither have I.
I
Been to
think-
Disneyland.
Yeah, plenty of times.
Disneyland's fun.
Yeah, I would
it.
like. I especially as a kid, I really wanted to go there because there was a lot more attractions than in the
In Disneyland?
Los Angeles one.
Oh, yeah, for
because or the Anaheim one, I guess. But now I feel like it's not like that anymore with like Star Wars Land and like.
Oh, yeah,
because
there's
when I
so
was a
much
kid,
here
there
now,
wasn't
yeah.
even California Adventure when we were growing up. So it was like, yeah, I want to go to Florida and see all the cool ass stuff that they have there, but yeah, it's not really like that anymore.
No, I mean, yeah, they still do have a good amount of things there, but there's comparable stuff here. But I
Yeah.
think I've just heard you need to be there for a full week to be able to really enjoy each thing. You spend a day at each park, and they have so many different parks there.
Yeah.
So I don't think necessarily that Disney World itself is like that much different than Disneyland. It's just that there's also the Animal Kingdom and all these other things that are full-on parks that you go to.
I got a cool one. The 26th Amendment was passed, making the voting age 18 instead of 21.
Yes, July 5th. That also effectively lowered the drinking age in most states, too, to be 18. They kind of...
Which makes sense.
Yeah. They just kind of do... And it still is interesting that that's the only thing that's 21. I guess cigarettes now, too, huh?
Yeah, cigarettes now. At least in California. I
feel
don't
like
know
that's-
what it's
I think
like
it was
other
like that in
places.
Wisconsin and Texas, too, as far as I know. But, yeah, that's cool. That was a good thing to do, to lower the,
I mean, it created a lot of new voters.
Yeah.
It kind of just makes you think like, okay, so we went almost 200 years of 21 and up voting.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a lot.
and
well, that's-
I have to
that's great.
say, most people didn't live that long in the early 1800s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
There's a good amount. It was
you'll
just
vote.
supposed to be, strong, I don't know, member of the community or
But
whatever.
like
or the
now,
voters.
18-year-olds are like children compared to what 18-year-olds were in the 1800s. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is it's weird that it wasn't the other way around.
Yeah,
it
they
wasn't
got
18
hired
and then
up later,
moved
yeah.
up to 21 later. Like that makes sense.
I feel you. Yeah, I understand that take. Just one more little interesting thing I got here, news sort of item. Starbucks was founded by Jerry Baldwin, Zev Sagel, and Gordon Bowker at Seattle's Pike Place Market. They initially were just a coffee bean wholesaler. They bought beans from Pete's Coffee and Tea. And then in 1973, Alfred Pete himself stopped supplying to them and trained their new roast master. So yeah, they just basically were wholesaling beans for the first couple of years. But this is when Starbucks started. So if you're a Starbucks head, 1971 is an important year in the history of your culture.
Yeah, if you're in Seattle, get that tattooed on your wrist.
I never really get Starbucks. I mean, I'm not a coffee drinker, so.
I like coffee, but I like coffee, not sugared coffee. You know what I mean? If I want a blended, crazy, sugary drink, I'll go to Dairy Queen. I don't need to go to Starbucks for that. You know what I mean? I like coffee. Most of the time I drink coffee black. Like, I don't need all that.
Yeah, no, I can feel you. Again, not a coffee drinker myself. You got any other news items like that?
I got something pretty funny.
Okay.
So the vice president,
Spiro Agnew.
Yeah, Spiro Agnew, teed off into a crowd, not once, but twice. Teed off into a crowd of people and like hit this old lady.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, if you can't golf, don't go to a golf event. Like, if you never golfed before, like...
And that's got to be so intimidating, too, to be sitting there with all the people lined up. And it's just like, you just go up there and you're like, I'm expected to be able to do this that well. And like, golfing something that's really easy to just wing something at somebody unintentionally, and almost you could kill somebody with that shit.
Especially sitting right next to them, like
yeah,
as
it always
close
blows me
as
away
they
the
were.
faith they have in somebody. So just stand like that. This is one of those great things that even though this is so long ago, there actually is video of this. You can see him just beaming someone with you. It's great.
You guys have to look it up at home if you.
It's a really good video. Well, keeping in that sort of vein, sports. I got a sports item here. The Lakers begin a 33-game winning streak on November 5th, and that remains a league record and the longest undefeated winning streak in American pro sports to this day. 33 games in a row of winning.
Damn.
Yeah, pretty fantastic, those Showtime Lakers. I feel like this was a Showtime era. I could be wrong.
I got a sports one. The first night game of the World Series to ever take place.
Oh, that's cool.
There was other night games prior to this, regular season games, postseason games, but this is the first World Series night game that was ever played.
I think that baseball's interesting because I feel like immediately I was like, that's just nothing like just watching a baseball game with those lights on and like, looking around, hearing the national anthem with all that, and you get the fireworks at the end of the day and stuff. And I thought that's, baseball makes such a good sense as a night sport. But then I thought, well, it's also a great day sport to watch. You're out there with the sun coming down, you have a hot dog and all the, whatever.
Baseball's a great sport.
It's a fun sport to go watch.
I'll die on that hill.
I used to, as a kid, I only ever just went to go watch baseball. I never really played it, and so I didn't really have any connection to it. And then I got, a little older. I was like, baseball sucks. And then after a couple years of thinking that way, I eventually started watching baseball clips and stuff. I was like, actually, pretty entertaining. And now I like baseball. I don't really watch it. I don't follow it. But if it's on or I'm watching it, I enjoy it. I know you're a big baseball boy. You come from a baseball family.
Yeah. My grandma had season tickets at Dodger Stadium growing up.
Got any other sports or news or anything like that? Are you ready to transition on over into some television?
I have a good transition into television, or a good transition into the media world, I suppose. NPR aired National Public Radio for the first time this year.
Yeah, on 420.
It was, the first show was All Things Considered, and it's still running to this day.
That's I've never really I've listened to like one or two NPR things.
I mean, it's not really our generation. Like, my mom listened to talk radio, but it was never NPR.
I feel like I listened to one show when I got like my first Zune or something. There was This American Life was like preloaded onto it, so I listened to an episode of that. Or maybe actually I think it was my PSP. Like I didn't know how podcasts worked, and they were super new, and it was like just an RSS feed, and I don't know, like that was an episode that I listened to, and Yeah, that was an entertaining story. I remember it was about a squirrel getting loose in a house. That's all I know. That's the only NPR thing I have. But that's cool that that's been on for so long. Oh, they have the Tiny Desk concerts though. I watch those on YouTube. You ever see?
What is that?
It's just like in their offices. They'll have like people come and do concerts inside the office. They'll have
Like a full band?
yeah, like really
Led Zeppelin?
yeah, Led Zeppelin. No, it's a new thing that's on right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think anybody who I've watched. I just know like Regina Spektor's been on there. They've had like I'm trying to think. I know I just watched somebody like Post Malone. He's done Tiny Desk concerts. Like they do interesting artists.
Random.
Yeah, it's totally random.
Yeah, oh my God.
So random. Let's see. In the television sphere of things, we got a couple of premieres that happened. Soul Train premiered, All in the Family premiered, and took the #1 spot of the year. Oh, and one more thing. One other show that premiered was Columbo. One of my favorite shows. I got the shirt on right now. I always try to wear a shirt that matches the year. So I got Columbo right here on my T-shirt today. Pretty lucky that I own a Columbo shirt and it happened to debut this year. Love that. You ever watch Columbo?
I haven't. It's funny. I saw it the other day on Tubi because it's just a free streaming that I just kind of rolled through.
I love Tubi. Yeah, that's where I watch Columbo.
And yeah, I saw it on there and I was like, I should watch that. I did not realize it came out this year. I did not. So I would have probably watched it if I knew.
Yeah, check it out. Check it out. It's a good show. It's very enjoyable. Peter Falk. He plays the
What the fuck?
he plays the grandfather on Princess Bride. Soul Train, I never watched. All in the Family is a pretty good show. I just kind of started watching that more recently. I'd never really seen it. It was too brown as a kid. It's so just I feel like the color scheme of it. Anytime it would come on TV, I'd be like, yeah, I don't want to watch this. It looks old. So I just changed the channel because it looked old.
Yeah,
And I started
what's
watching
funny?
it,
I've seen like a bunch of clips of that lately on TikTok for some reason.
Really, that's it. Well, it's one of those shows that was so like very vocal about things it had to say, and so it was ahead of its time and everything.
Oh yeah, it was super. Well, I feel like that's most of the clips I see are like super political stuff.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting show for that reason. Other top shows, Flip Wilson show is #2, and Marcus Welby MD is #3. I just think it's interesting that #1 is the show that still people are talking about all the time, and #2 and 3 are shows that I'd never heard of. Flip Wilson show and Marcus Welby MD.
I've never heard of them.
Two funny sounding names. Flip Wilson show was a very interesting one. That was it was a black host. It was like a variety show. And I thought that was super cool that was #2 was, a black male host as was so popular in the country. Just like shows, again, All in the Family, Flip Wilson, like definitely tides changing and things like that. And that was cool that those things were so high up on the list, I felt. And I watched some of the Flip Wilson show. It was interesting. It's a good, good little variety show. Variety shows were still so popular back then,
Yeah.
Speaking in the variety show realm, Ed Sullivan, the Ed Sullivan Show, ended on June 6th after 23 years on the air. Pretty long ass time on TV.
Yeah, I mean, and he had such a influential part of like music, pop culture, in general, in his time. Like, think of all the bands that have been on there: The Doors, The Beatles, The Rolling Stones. There was a lot of bands that rolled through the Ed Sullivan, and I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds more that I can't even think of.
Yeah, no, it was a real pinnacle of pop culture, sort of like a debut point for American audiences for so many bands back then. So here's a couple of books that came out. There was The Exorcist and The Lorax. Those are both books that people still know about today. Big year for X's in book titles. Exorcist and The Lorax. And then Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was released in Rolling Stone in November as a 2-part series initially, and then was released as a novel later. But Fear and Loathing is pretty damn cool. I've never read it, but the movie's sick. Have you read it?
No, I've only ever seen the movie.
Yeah, I got to read it at some point now that
I think
about it.
I think I want to say I listened to a lot of the Johnny Depp
audiobook.
Yeah, audiobook of it, but I didn't finish it, and I'm pretty sure it was just like a YouTube video I watched. I didn't like download the audiobook or anything, but He does a really good job. It sounds really cool. So I'm sure if there's an audiobook that he's done it.
Yeah, no, and from what I read about the novel in my research, it seems like it is pretty similar to the story that is in the movie. Or I don't even know how much of that is in the novel or how much of the story of him writing it they told. But like him going and doing the Sports Illustrated thing and getting approved for, you know, a 50-word photo caption article and turns into this 1,000-page essay or whatever. That's all was actually the true story of what happened. So I don't know if that's in the actual novel of it, but it's in the movie, and that's really what happened. So at least it's pretty true to life in some aspects.
Yeah, I think it was more about him writing the book.
Yeah. Okay.
Than about the book itself.
Yeah, the book. The book was more about him writing it. It's such an interesting thing. Well, counterculture sort of icon, Hunter S. Thompson was. Moving into a musical realm, there are a couple of musical icons that passed away this year.
Yeah.
Dwayne Allman died, as well as Louis Armstrong. And then a big one for a lot of people, I would say, is Jim Morrison. He fled to Paris to escape legal troubles and then passed away over there.
Yeah, and he didn't even have a biopsy, so they don't really...
I didn't know that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was like they think it was like heart failure because of how sudden it was, like some kind of heart attack. But yeah, there was never a biopsy.
Yeah, I feel like it's not one of those things that they were like, they're not going to be surprised by the outcome of the results. You know, he had a lot of troubles with drugs and alcohol, that man.
Yeah.
He was like pretty wasted on stage and allegedly flashed his dong, correct? That was what he was fleeing for?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, it's crazy. Well, now we're kind of getting into some musical guest. Let's jump into some of this here top 5. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to look at the top 5 Billboard tracks in the U.S. for the year 1971, starting with number 5. And the 5th track on this list is How Can You Mend a Broken Heart by the Bee Gees. First number 1 hit in the U.S. for the Bee Gees. It was written by Barry and Robin, the brothers Gibb.
Sure. That was...
You a Bee Gees guy?
Classic. I don't know. Just it was classic band, not a song I expected from them.
Yeah,
I guess after knowing thinking I knowing who the Bee Gees were so much.
Yeah,
you know,
the disco scene, right?
The disco part of it all. Yeah, I guess I didn't really expect this kind of song from them.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy their early work. Their first album is like a psychedelic album, you know? And their first couple albums are really interesting rock and roll. That's sort of in the same vein as like the Beatles and what other people in that kind of category were doing. It's pretty good. I really enjoy their first couple albums. And like the song I Started a Joke, I don't know if you've heard that one. That's from 1968, and that's another good one from their early stuff. So they wouldn't at this point. It would still be like another 5 years before they got into the disco scene, and really took off in that respect. But so that's also interesting to know. Like, you know, most people only know them as you know, all the Saturday Night Fever stuff, but they already had a number 1 hit in the U.S. prior 5 years or so. According to Robin Gibb, the whole thing took about an hour to complete. The song reached the number 1 spot to our great satisfaction. I thought that was a funny quote. Like, he's so matter of fact about it. Like, what do you think of this song? They're like, it took an hour. We were happy that it went to number 1. So I guess he doesn't love the song, but I think it's a cool song. Number 4 on the list
is One Bad Apple by the Osmonds. And I don't know. I feel like this is just like very like brought over from the 60s campy the Osmonds. Like the definition of like
bubblegum pop.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, this was originally it was written for the Jackson 5 by Joe Jackson, which is why I mean my whole life I thought this was a Jackson 5 song for sure.
Yeah, I guess I never really put 2 and 2 together.
The Jackson 5 did ABC instead of doing One Bad Apple. And I mean, it's like they're so fucking similar. It would have been the same result either way. It would have been like we all know One Bad Apple like the back of our hand, and then ABC would have been a song most people know and would have been like, oh, I always thought that was the Jackson 5. You know, I don't know that one song is necessarily better than the other. It's just that the Jackson 5 was better than the Osmonds. But
yes, the Jackson 5 was definitely better than the Osmonds.
I mean, this song's fine. It's a fun little, like you say, it's just pure bubblegum nonsense. But it's if you have a character in a screenplay who's walking through, you're just having a great day and everything's going well, and then you have this song playing in the background, you got yourself a hit, I think.
Yeah.
Number 3. This is a shared spot on the list between "It's Too Late" and "I Feel the Earth Move" by Carole King. It's a double A side. So what happened with this one was that "I Feel the Earth Move" was initially the A side. And people began preferring "It's Too Late," and eventually that overtook "I Feel the Earth Move." So they just thought "I Feel the Earth Move" was like it's obviously a faster tempo song, so they thought that's going to be the one that people want to hear, and people preferred the other one. I like them both. I think they're both really good songs, though.
So did they like later come out with that other one on the A side?
No, it just became a double A side. So it's just I just put A on
Gotcha.
both of them, I guess.
Okay.
And I guess that's a way to keep the tracking of it, and back then it was just, I don't know, they were way looser with it. It's like this is a harder year to pin down some stuff on a couple different, records of things, like recording information. It was a little harder to pin some stuff down. Billboard was a little bit more loose. Things, they were still figuring shit out,
I mean, yeah, it's true, because a lot of the stuff I was looking up, like, it went by weeks even, months. Top billboards of the week, top billboards of the month.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I mean, that being said, the next one is Maggie May and Reason to Believe by Rod Stewart.
Reason was the A side and flipped to the B side during a 16-week run of Maggie May on the charts. So I think people pretty quickly preferred Maggie May. I mean, it's a way better song.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I've ever even heard of Reason to Believe.
I listened to it on the way over here, and I can't tell you. Couldn't sing you a bar of it. Can't remember how it goes.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, even if it had been in the top 5, I could see it, but it would have been like, oh, this is in here. Whereas I actually like the songs on this list a lot.
I do, yeah, because I think that is an issue with a lot of the songs that we've come across doing this show is
the top 5 isn't.
I just don't like the mainstream media.
It's not doesn't feel indicative of what the time was. Or when you watch a period piece, it's not like you're hearing the top 5 songs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, is sort of how life is, I guess, in a way. But it still is inescapable in everyday life. You're gonna hear the top shit if you're going to the store or you have the radio on or whatever. You're gonna get some of it seeping into your life.
And this is a little different because there wasn't as much access to music. So this is what you heard on the radio. This is what the DJs played.
Yeah, unless you just were, I mean, you had to go and buy records, and that's how you were exposed to anything else. So
yeah,
it definitely was a harder.
Or your friend had a record that was like, dude, you have to listen to this song.
Yeah,
and then you have to go buy that record just to listen to the song that he referred you to.
Which you're going to see, there are so many, once we're done with the next one on the list, there's so many albums that came out this year that are so classic and so formative for rock and roll in general and stuff, but didn't break it into the top. And also a lot of the times an album will come out and the next year something will pop off of it. So we might see that in 1972, but I'm not totally sure if that's going to be the case. But jumping ahead of ourselves, let's get to number 1 on the list. That is Joy to the World. You're doing the Christmas one. It's Joy to the World by Three Dog Night. This is a fun song for sure. Written by Hoyt Axton, who is, he wrote a couple songs for pretty prolific people across his career. He also played the dad in Gremlins. That's my favorite thing he did. It was described by the band as a kid's song and a silly song. So different members of the band liked that they did it, and other ones did not. Some people, I think the drummer said it was good to just do something that was fun and dorky and just kind of have us come back together as a band and do this thing. And then it went to number 1, so I'm sure they were super happy about that. But other ones are this silly song is our kind of our legacy,
Our coup de grace, we didn't even want it to be.
Yeah. Axton and his mother, Mae Axton, became the first mother and son to each have written a #1 pop single in the rock era. Mae Axton co-wrote Heartbreak Hotel.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Heartbreak Hotel and Joy to the World. Complete opposites, right? Mom and son couldn't be different. She's writing about a hotel of heartbreak. He's writing joy to the entire world, all the boys and girls. It is a silly song, I'll say that much.
It is, but it's a lot of fun, and I understand why it's #1.
Yeah, it's hard not to sing along to it. I
Yeah.
heard that, and I had my little playlist on in the car, and when that came on, I was totally, yeah. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. That's a fun album.
It's a lot of fun.
I mean, a fun song, but that's all I have to say about the top 5, I guess. Like we said, some pretty fun stuff, some good music, I feel like, for this time. Here's some other just stuff from the music world from 1971. A couple debut albums. You got ZZ Top's first album. That's what it was called. Also was their debut album. You got the debuts of Thin Lizzy, the Doobie Brothers, Carly Simon, Earth, Wind and Fire, and the Electric Light Orchestra.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, all of those people had their first album. Here's a couple of the 2 top-selling albums. In the UK, top-selling album was Electric Warrior by T-Rex. I love that album. It's got like a Bang a Gong. That's probably the biggest one off of that. I like Hot Love. And then Jesus Christ Superstar was the top seller in the U.S.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, right? It's a weird album to be #1. This was prior to it even being on Broadway. They did the concept album to see if people would like it, and they obviously did for some reason, and it took off. Thought that was weird. I listened to it. I was like walking the dogs and doing other stuff, so I didn't really pay attention top to bottom. But I think it. I'll be honest. It surprises me sometimes that Andrew Lloyd Webber is as popular and successful as he is. He's not amazing,
Yeah, but
he's
isn't
all
this
right.
like what set him?
Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat came out before this, and he had some success with. But I feel like this was his first really humongous thing. I'm not entirely sure, but because I did some research on it, but mostly I just kind of was looking at how it was deemed sacrilegious and it was banned in the UK initially and stuff like that for its views, because it takes place from Judas Iscariot's point of view. It's told as like from him. Let me just run through some other albums real quick. You got David Bowie with Hunky Dory, Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, John Lennon's Imagine, Zeppelin 4, Who's Next by The Who, Master of Reality by Black Sabbath. You got a Harry Nilsson Schmilson, Don McLean with American Pie, Ram by Paul McCartney, Al Green Gets Next to You, and L.A. Woman by The Doors. I mean, that's so many albums that are just like, look at each one of those, there's going to be songs that even if you're not like a big rock and roll person, they have songs that
You're going to know, a lot of the stuff that goes on.
Yeah, and a couple other, there's some good soul albums in there that I mentioned. And even some metal in there with Black Sabbath and Zeppelin. Really great year for music. This is all stuff that I just have on repeat, I would say, across the board. So many of these are stuff that I listen to constantly.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Doors, Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, The Who.
I've been getting into Harry Nilsson a lot. Cher, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. That's a good song. That was her first solo #1.
Oh, that's cool.
After Sonny and Cher.
After Sonny, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Good year for music. Well, I think we close the book there on music and head on into the cinema. What do you say?
Yeah. Do you have anything for food?
Food, just the Starbucks thing.
Because I know you would do those, but I do have something for a drink. So
okay, let's hear it.
one of the things I'm going to try to start doing is the cocktail of the month, and there would be different magazines throughout the years that would come out with it. Cosmopolitan being one of them, and stuff.
Okay,
like
cool.
that.
Yeah, let's hear that. That's fun.
This one
is a good new feature. Well, I mean,
I
I guess that remains to be seen. I'll let you go first.
yeah, we'll see what the audience thinks about that.
Well, I'll hold my own judgment. It might be bad. What if you do a bad job?
This one is the Pampano. 1 ounce of gin, a ½ ounce of dry vermouth, 1 ounce of grapefruit juice, 4 dashes of orange bitters, and 1 slice of orange. Shake gin, vermouth, grapefruit juice, bitters well with ice. Strain over the rocks and pre-chill old-fashioned glass. And then garnish with the orange. But, I mean, that sounds like a solid cocktail to me.
Yeah.
And
What were the main two thing or the main juices again?
Gin, grapefruit, vermouth, orange bitters.
Okay. Yeah. That's
So,
pretty good.
and it's just served over the rocks.
I like it.
I mean, I would drink the hell out of that drink.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should start trying to see if we can get those situated when we get here.
Yeah, we can do that. I'm actually looking at an entire rack of liquor right now.
I mean, there might be some weird things in a couple of these that we'd have to, like grapefruit
Yeah.
juice is something we'd have to figure out, but
We'll take time and say our sponsor is the Pirate Op podcast. They are generous enough to let us use their recording studio, and they do restaurant life oriented content, and they interview people in the restaurant industry, from cooks to alcohol reps to bartenders. And if you're in that lifestyle, then I think it's a little reprieve. You can they get stuff off their chests, and it's a great podcast. You guys got to check it out, the Pirate Op podcast.
yeah, thank you so much to them. And Mark, I mean, you know, you're a bartender, so it's right up your alley. You've been on there, have you not?
I was on there for the pilot episode. I'm sure that's out at some. It's going to be out at some point, but I don't think it's out right now. But I haven't been on there for a formal podcast yet.
Oh, okay. We gotta get you on there. We gotta do an exchange of ideas. Still gotta figure out how we get people on here because it's like there's a lot of information that we're looking up.
Just gotta find somebody from 1971.
That's not a bad idea.
That was there. You know what I mean?
That's a pretty good idea. All right, let's get into the old movie land. Okay, so the number one movie in cinemas in the U.S. for the year 1971 is a little film called Fiddler on the Roof. Let me give you the rundown here if you're not familiar. In pre-revolutionary Russia, a Jewish peasant with traditional values contends with marrying off 3 of his daughters with modern romantic ideals, while growing anti-Semitic sentiment threatens his village. Now, this came out November 3rd. It grossed $1.3 million in its opening weekend. $10,404,330 was its total gross, which would be roughly $81 million in today's money. I'd never seen this one before. Had you?
No, and I really liked this movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I thought it was really good. I think the actors are really good in it. I think that the music was really good. The storyline, and I don't know. I think there's a reason that it went from being a play to being the number one movie.
Yeah, no, and and it's funny too with the talking about Jesus Christ Superstar. People were very into plays at this point. So, this was directed by Norman Jewison, who was not a Jewish man. It is worth noting because when they hired him, they said something to him, and like he very quickly said to them, like, I'm not Jewish, right? And they were like, oh, I think that studio was surprised to learn that he was not a Jewish person.
Considering his name and the entire content of the movie.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, the movie was there, and then they hired him on, and I think that they were just like, man, this is going to be a slam dunk. We got Norman Jewison to direct Fiddler on the Roof, and then he came in and he was like, yeah, you guys know I'm not Jewish. He probably just had to start every conversation his whole life like that, Especially growing up, at times when that wasn't super.
Yeah, right.
He's like, just say, hey, what's up, man? My name's Norman. I'm not Jewish.
But
my last name's going to shock you. Remember that thing I just told you? This got nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Art Direction. Nominated for all those, and then won Sound, Cinematography, and Music at the Oscars. So very, very critically lauded and appreciated film this was, not just by audiences, but critics loved it as well. So, Mark, how do you feel? You got the same taste as the Academy.
Yeah, for once.
You got They should start tapping you, see what you think of things. Maybe we'll get some better movies out there.
Yeah, they're not going to be happy with my picks for movies these days.
Everything Everywhere All at Once was good. That was a cool one.
That was a great one, actually.
I was happy that one.
Yeah.
It was a recent thing that they did well. Speaking of doing well, this movie did well in Japan thanks to its traditionalist values.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they're very traditional land over there.
Mm-hmm.
This was again, it was a good story that I feel like you once again, this being an older thing, I feel I've seen this referenced places and not realized. And then even like as a kid, there was Gwen Stefani pulling from the "If I Was a Rich Man."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun scene. The guy who played Tevye was his name was Topol, and he was only 35 years old. Can you believe that?
What?
Yeah, that's nuts, right?
That guy looks like he's 95.
There was makeup involved and everything.
But he was, I gotta say, he was a lively guy.
Yeah, he did so well with it. I mean, I think he was like an understudy on Broadway when they did it. I'm pretty sure he played somebody else. But basically, they had initially wanted to use Zero Mostel as Tevye, and it was kind of controversial to not pick him because he had been on, the one who had originated the role and made it famous in the stage production. And they went with Topol instead because they felt like Zero Mostel was like kind of too much of a personality himself and was overshadowing the character. And people also knew who he was a bit. He worked with Mel Brooks in a lot of things. The producers, the music I thought was crazy. I didn't realize that the music was conducted and adapted by John Williams. I mean, this guy's just been around doing the most impressive music for movies forever. Yeah, yeah. It's so wild. This guy cannot miss.
Fun little fact, every time Topol talks to God, he's talking to a white ball on the end of a stick that's held just out of range of the camera.
Oh, that's crazy.
So he has
that would be like
something to like reference to. When
yeah. Like that's like how people have to do things now with all of the CGI and stuff. Like they put like a tennis ball on the end of a stick.
A red dot or something.
Yeah, like, this is gonna be the dog.
Talk to the ball.
Talk to this. This is the dog. All right. When you talk, pretend this is the dog. It's hard, but just pretend. It's fuzzy like a dog.
Just pet it. It's fine.
You could take it home and feed it. This actually held the record on Broadway as the longest running musical for almost 10 years until Grease surpassed its run. And it won 9 Tony Awards, including Best Musical Score, Book, Direction, and Choreography. So it was a huge, Broadway show prior to this. It was already like a guaranteed thing. So the movie adaptation just really made sense. And like we said, people really paid a lot of attention to the stage back then. And like you could be watching a game show from this time, and there would be like a person on there who was just like famous from Broadway. We have some Broadway person or whatever. Like that was like a game show, one of the panel members or whatever on Hollywood Squares or whatever the fuck the game shows were. But like, people knew Broadway people really, really intimately in a way that we don't really pay that much attention to nowadays, A lot less entertainment, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what was entertainment. I gotta say, even like 20 years, 30 years prior to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people weren't going to the cinema, going to go watch the pictures.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
It was a rarity. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Movies were shorter and silent. So, yeah, it was a huge part of our culture for so long. And it actually is interesting that it still does, for something that's like so hard to accomplish nowadays, or it's inconvenient, I guess, is the biggest thing to put on a stage production, to do that consistently and to have everybody show up all the time and to always have the venue staffed and tour this thing around and have people ready and understudies and all this other stuff. It's a big undertaking when now you can just make a series and put it on Netflix and people watch that. So the fact that people do still invest in theater and that it still does have some level of importance, like. I don't know what the last big thing was, but everyone still cares about Wicked and the Book of Mormon and shit like that has come out, in somewhat recent times, and people have enjoyed it. Like, it's not like it's a dead art form completely, Last little tidbit I have about Fiddler on the Roof, and this is really, really speaking to my whole, we want everything to be looking brown at the time. To get the look he wanted for the film, the director told the director of photography to shoot the film in an earthy tone. So he saw, this guy, Oswald Morris, saw a woman wearing brown nylon hosiery and thought that's the tone that we want, and asked her for the stockings, and then shot the entire film with the stocking over the lens. And you can actually detect the weave of the stocking in some scenes, so says the internet. I knew that before I watched it, and every once in a while I'd be like, oh, let me see if I can see it. I never was able to tell, but... Yeah, that they were just like, man, we're shooting in a dirt place in wooden barns, and everyone's wearing burlap and fucking, but it's just not brown enough.
Brown enough.
We got to get this thing browner, and they did. They put pantyhose over the lens and made it browner.
I gotta say, it gave it like, I don't know, maybe just because of watching it in 2024, that it gave it an older feel.
Yeah, I think even back, like it was
But
aging
even
it even
then-
for the 70s. It
Yeah.
was like, we want this to look older. This looks too modern. It looks so
Yeah.
woefully modern. Everyone's going to look at this immediately and know it's a 1970s movie.
They can't know that.
They're going to be taken out of the film immediately if it looks this modern and just crisp and clean. We got to brown it up. But good movie. I'm really glad I watched it. This is one that it's a little lengthier. I tend to not have, I don't know, say it's my attention span, I don't know, but I tend to not love watching movies for much longer than 2 hours. Is kind of where I started to go, okay, am I going to watch this? I'm getting better at it. I mean, I'm pushing myself to do it more nowadays, but there's so many movies I haven't seen just because of the length. And this is one I probably would have avoided and I mean, obviously I haven't watched it. It's not like I avoid it, but I'm just like, am I going to sit here and watch this for 3 hours?
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did finally. And
I gotta say, it kept my attention.
for sure, yeah, I definitely was watching the whole time.
Yeah, because, I mean, there are TV shows that are an hour long that's like, all right, I'm over this.
Yeah, picking up your phone.
Yeah, but if it's good, and this is definitely one of those movies that kept my attention the whole time, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely at one point I had to pause it for some reason, and when I looked up, I was like over an hour into it, and I wasn't checking the time or anything at that point, but I was like, oh shit, I'm already well into this movie, and it feels like it's just kind of just sort of kicking off still, like that it's a really well done film.
Yeah.
It doesn't drag. That's a really big thing about and movies from back then. I feel like when they were long, they didn't just drag on. You know what I mean? That's something that when
There
it
was
feels long
purpose.
nowadays, they feel long because they are overindulgent sometimes. I feel like. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there was purpose to everything.
Yeah, there was like, well, that scene needed to be in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, it could have been 20 minutes shorter, but you also needed those scenes in there, else it wouldn't have been as good. I don't feel that way with movies these days. I'm like, well, I don't think you needed that 20-minute scene.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you guys just kind of recapped what we already knew
yeah, or it didn't have
that was
anything to do with
happening.
anything.
Yeah,
so
or
off
it
with
doesn't
some
push
random-
the plot forward. There's no, like, character development. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no reason for scenes and stuff to be in movies these days.
That's a big part of it. Is that typically when I watch a movie that is that long, I end up going, yeah, it definitely could have been. Sometimes it's like that could have been 40 minutes shorter, man. Like they cut 2 minutes off of the end of each of these scenes, and then remove that whole middle chunk, and this thing could have been an enjoyable film.
Yep.
It's a hard thing to do to make a movie. Here's some other films from the year that are worth noting. For the kiddies, you got Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Both fun fantasy movies. I love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's one of my favorites to this day.
Yeah. And all the other adaptations just don't hold up.
Oh, for sure. That's definitely. I saw the newish one, however long ago that came out, the Timothy Chalamet one, and it was like, it was fine.
It's a couple years old at this point.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was all right.
Yeah, it was not terrible, but Bedknobs and Broomsticks, that's one that I grew up watching and had not seen, and so I just had vague memories of it, and I watched it, a couple years ago, and like the whole movie, I was like, man, this is like way like drier than I remembered it being, and then it gets to the part where they go under the ocean, and it's like half cartoons, like Mary Poppins style.
I don't.
And it's like I always remember it being like akin to Mary Poppins, and like they go to they jump into a cartoon world and they're running around and shit, and then it's like kids and they do stuff. That's like one scene in the movie, and I was like, man, I thought that was most of this movie, and it's not as fun as I remembered it being. Anyway, here's a couple other things: French Connection and Dirty Harry, and the sort of gritty cop sort of type of movies that were coming out in the '70s, and then for sci-fi, you got the Andromeda Strain, THX 1138. That's George Lucas's first movie, and A Clockwork Orange, which I've never seen before, and that's another one I gotta watch.
Yeah, you gotta watch that
Man,
one.
it's like 2 hours and plus. That's why I haven't seen it. Really, truly, and part of it also is just I need to be in the right mood to watch this.
Yeah, it's a weird movie,
And that's
for sure.
one of those things that makes it so I never put things on. And like I said, I've been getting better at just putting shit on because I should watch it. I watched There Will Be Blood. I just never seen it. And I thought,
That's a great movie.
thought it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was really good.
But it's really long.
Yeah, I just watched freaking To Kill a Mockingbird. I'd never seen that before, and turns out it's a Halloween movie. I didn't know. The end of it takes place on Halloween.
Oh, I didn't even realize
I
that.
thought that was cool. It's not.
I
from
haven't seen
71.
that in forever.
It's a good one. Two other interesting ones I think worth noting: Sweet Sweetback's "Badass" song and "Shaft" both came out in 1971, kicking off the blaxploitation era of cinema, which are really fun movies that I mean I love that type of movie. Sweet Sweetback is good, and like all the Pam Grier movies, Coffee and like Cleopatra Brown, whatever it's called. Those are really fun. I like that type of kung fu and gun play and all that kind of stuff. You know.
Yeah, the campy
Yeah.
stuff.
I love that. Well, that's it for the movies. So, that's mostly what there has been to offer for 1971. That's what they brought to the pop culture plate and are offering up for you. What did you think of it, folks? Did you have fun? Was it everything you wished it would be when you wished you were then?
I wish I was then, but I just lived it, so.
It was I said there was some definitely very, very cool stuff from this year. Musically, a bunch of great stuff, a couple of really fun movies, and some cool news stories. I like the D.B. Cooper story a lot. Disney World's a fun thing. A really good year. A lot of entertainment here.
Is there any other little fun facts you want to put in there?
The Ali Joe Frazier fight happened. We've neglected to mention that at the top.
Oh,
of
yeah.
Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big. It was 14-round fight, and that's definitely worth mentioning.
Oh, Sonny Liston died, actually.
Oh, more boxing news. Oh, we missed a bunch of boxing
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to the world of boxing, but you got in there.
I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff too. I have like Charles Manson was convicted.
Yeah, I got some other stuff that I feel we can come back to. But
yeah, but I was like, there's. The
It's
point was,
definitely-
there's so much
Definitely,
that
yeah.
we could.
get well more into.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could only bring back one thing from 1971 and the rest of this year disappears, it's gone. But you can only bring back one, be it events. You could be Starbucks being founded because you like your coffee so much. It could be the Lakers winning 33 games because you just like that record. But what's your choice?
I don't know, man. To bring something back, I guess it'd be the Fear and Loathing publications.
Oh,
I
that's a
think
good one.
that was one of my favorite things that happened.
That's a good one. I'm torn between T-Rex's Electric Warrior, Willy Wonka, but I think what I got to go with is, when I look at this list and I say that there's something I'm going to bring back, I go, it's just one more thing. I'm going to bring back Columbo. I got the shirt on. If I didn't bring that back, I'd be sitting here without a T-shirt on, and it's raining, and I'm going to get wet, so I'm glad I'm doing Columbo, because otherwise I'd get all wet. All right. Check it out. Watch Columbo, folks.
I can't wait to go back to any other time.
I know.
That's
We need to get off mic and pick a year, because I don't know what year it's going to be, but all I know for sure is that I know I do. I don't know about you, Mark, but I think that we both
wish we were then.
Good night, folks. Drive safe. It's raining.